social butterfly when it comes down. What's the saying? It's like an introvert, extrovert. I don't know.
Yeah, introvert.
Basically, like that. I love to have my me space, but if I have to get out and do networking and stuff, it comes organic for me. But at the end of the day, it does get lonely. It's because I don't know if it's like that mastermind or because like you have so many tabs open up in your mind and you really can't share that with everybody because sometimes you feel like you may come off too overboard or like overflowing your ideas on to people, and even the simple thing of just venting, I feel like that's what makes us who we are, and we take that and transform it into a painting or transform it into photography or dancing or singing, whatever the case may be. It's just that's that sixth sense that we have.
Hello everyone. My name is Alonzo Williams and you are now tuned into the Everyday Stranger podcast. Let's get it. So you were just listening to an excerpt from today's guest. She goes by the name of Brionya James Mathews, also known as the God-taught artist. And trust me, y'all, that name holds a lot of truth. Now, Brionya is an artist who I had met at the Houston Museum of African American Culture, where her paintings were actually on display. Now, check this. Her work has traveled all over the globe, and she's actually painted a few people who I actually know personally. So my breath was taken away the second that I had seen her work. I was fortunate enough to meet her that day because she ended up moving to Italy the week after. So by coincidence, she just so happened to be in town in Houston. So I had to get her on the podcast, y'all. So this was, definitely a privilege of speaking with her, picking her brain, and getting to know her thought process as a creative. All right, so we're going to jump right into it, y'all. I ain't going to talk you out of death. This is the Everyday Stranger podcast featuring today's guest, Brionya, the God-taught artist. Enjoy, y'all. Peace. Go ahead and start now.
Okay.
Because I know you be on your schedule, yo.
Whatever. No, I'm trying to relax as much as I can here.
For sure. All right, Brionya, well, I always ask my guests this first question before we get to the good stuff.
Okay.
And that is, what has life's greatest lesson been for you so far?
Patience.
Woo.
Patience. I can definitely say that I'm still learning it, but it has been a lesson learned so far. You just have to be grateful through the process, but I feel like patience is key when it comes down to trying to get things done, especially when you're an ambitious person. Yeah. You have to remind yourself that patience is key, just so that you can walk through it slow cooked instead of microwaved. Yeah.
I like that. Prior to that, what brought you to that lesson, though? In other words, who were you before you learned that lesson?
I was just always unsatisfied as an artist as well as an individual. I've always wanted to see progress like overnight, only because I know like what I'm capable of. Right. And so it causes a lot of stress for me because it's like I see the end game, but it's like I strive to get there and it's just like it's not enough. Like, why can I not get it? So, and especially it's kind of hard because you try to stay in your own lane, but you see everybody else around you just zipping and zooming past you, or that it looks that way. But you just gotta have that tunnel vision, and that's what I had to teach myself. Like, it's not about what others like, what you see from what others are doing. You just have to take one step at a time and get to that flight of stairs, that door eventually.
Right. That's what's up. So, okay, we're going to get to who you are now.
Okay.
Because I am a huge admirer of your work.
Thank you.
Would you mind telling the people who, I don't know why they wouldn't know who you are, but the people who you may be new to.
Okay.
Who you are, how long you've been an artist and everything, and any other extra details that you want to include before we continue.
Okay. Well, for those that don't know, my name is Brionya James. That is Brionya. I am from Austin, Texas. I resided in Houston for the past 7 years. And I could say I've been actually painting for the past 5, but I've been drawing since I was little. So I kind of pursued painting in grade school. And I went to Sam Houston State for my Bachelor's of Fine Arts, and I withdrew from there.
Right.
And got distracted with the tattoo industry. So that's a whole testimony in itself. But once I started finding out who Brionya was, I really started to take my gift serious. And I just started to embrace it more. And so now for the past 3 years, I have been a full-time artist.
Full-time?
Yes.
This is what I like to hear right here.
Yes. So it's amazing to see the growth. And I'll be releasing a blog soon, just giving a quick synopsis of my journey.
Okay.
That, how I went from that to growing into this young woman and artist and still evolving, and just wanting to learn and continue to study the greats so that I can become a better artist. So, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You speak of the greats. Who are some people who you did study and people who you still study?
Well, I can say I just got back from Barcelona. Ooh. And I was actually viewing Salvador Dali's work. Okay. He's the guy with the mustache. Yeah. He's a surrealist. Yeah. So to see his work, he's always been an inspiration for me in grade school, from middle school up until we've always learned about him. So to see from textbooks, to his work in person, it was just amazing. It blew me away. So that was an icing on the cake. But I mean, him and Picasso, that's just that's just one of many. And hopefully one day I'll be able to go to Mexico and see why is it slipping my mind?
Artists in Mexico?
Goodness. Kahlo, sorry. Okay. Frida Kahlo. Okay. Yeah, I get those two mixed up because they're they literally mirror each other. But Frida Kahlo, that's one of my favorite movies too. So she's an amazing artist as well.
That's what's up. So you spoke on your greatest lesson was patience, right? Mm-hmm. And you being an artist, if you had the opportunity to meet any of these artists or one that you haven't mentioned, to speak about the situation that you're in now, or the transition that you're in, or the stage of of artistry that you're in right now, who would you pick?
Well, they're long gone. So you know who I would mention? That's actually alive that I look up to, and I don't necessarily get inspired by living artists a lot. Okay. So I would have to say BK the artist, Brian.
Ooh, okay.
You know who he is?
Yes, I do.
Based out of New York. He is amazing. He's a white boy, but he got soul.
No, he's dope, though. Yeah.
Yes, I love his work. And just to have a sit down and one-on-one with him, I can tell that just from viewing his work, it's patience all up and throughout that, Yeah. So to have that kind of detail and that intricate, attention to just each segment of the piece is amazing.
Right. Okay.
So having to sit down with him, I was telling somebody, I was like, if I seen him and Beyonce in the room, I would push it out the way. Yeah, I would.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you've been in the art game for 5 years, correct? When did you make the decision or when did you even have that awakening? I'm an artist. This is what I really love to do.
So, it's two situations. The first is it's deeper. That I try not to open that book until I have my own moment to do so. But when I was working in the tattoo industry, I was lost, not knowing no better. I was around the wrong people, and they were actually devil worshippers. So, yeah, seeing that, experiencing that and getting saved from that, I really started to, like I told you, embrace Brionya. But after even still transitioning, after I left the tattoo industry, I got a job at Forever 21, and I was doing my artwork on the side. Yeah. And slowly but surely, I just started making more money and, painting than I was at my 9 to 5. So I was like, you know what? It's something I kept praying on. I was like, I need to make this leap. Like, I just need to go ahead and go for it. And of course, being the only child, my parents, they were kind of a little cautious because of the stuff that I went through before. They were just like, baby, you might need a plan B.
Right.
Like, you might need to go back to school, this and that. I was like, no, I feel it in my gut. I gotta do this. I was like, I gotta do full time. Child, I jumped off that cliff, and I've been swimming ever since.
No rope.
No rope at all. Screaming, run down. But once I hit that bottom, like, I've been swimming, and it's been such an amazing journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Wow, so you are a tattoo artist.
Before.
Are you still able to tattoo, or is this something you don't want to mess with?
I wouldn't touch it again. Yeah.
Just from the experience.
Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't knock nobody that does it, or, it's still a form of art. For the longest, I was like ashamed of my tattoos, but it's a part of my story. So now, like, I embrace it, and I tell people, like, yeah, this means this. And, each one of them has their own background story to it. So.
Right. Were you always interested in art, even all the way in your earlier years as a child?
Oh, yes. Yeah. First time picking up a crayon. My mama, if you go to her house right now, she has, like, on her refrigerator, like, my first drawing of SpongeBob, like, in the first grade and stuff like that. It was, if you go all the way back, you could just tell I had a very high interest when it came to drawing. And so I didn't embrace painting until, like, my senior year in high school.
We're going to get to the main event of this, which is your painting, in a few, though, because I have big questions for you about the painting, because I love it. I follow you on Instagram. I look at your feed all the time.
It
pops up. It's like the one thing I hope to see every morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're very consistent at that as well.
Trying to be.
What is what's a day in the life of Brionya?
Ooh.
Like time management, everything, because you were recently married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any children?
No.
Okay.
No time soon.
I heard that.
No.
But how's your time management? Like, what is, like, you don't have to give all the details, because we don't want you to give out any secret ingredients.
Yeah.
But like, what's life looking like for you, time balance wise?
So let's say before the overseas move, I was always on the go. Okay. And so it was to an extent where it was like, I need to chill out. Yeah. Like, I was like, there's no way that I can really focus on my painting and really, progress if I'm just bam, 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 bam. And as much as I love Houston, this isn't my hometown, but I consider it my hometown. Yeah. As much as the love that I've received, and it just keeps me busy. And so coming from that lifestyle to doing a 180, living in a rural city in Italy, and just it's so serene. You have to chill. Like, you have to mellow out. And I wasn't used to that. I wasn't like, I was dang near going crazy. I'm like, I have to do something. What am I going to do? Like, what am I going to, like, I was just all over the place. And I even asked for that. Like, I prayed, and I was like, I need a moment in time where I can sit still and really just go all in on my work. And so when I finally got that, I just didn't know how to take care of it. But eventually, the life in Italy is amazing. I've already seen progression in my work just from being able to spend a week or two on just the nose or the mouth. And, it really comes together versus being here. Not saying that, I'm not going to say I shortchanged my work, but I just feel like I could do so much better if I wasn't just on that time strain. So here, it's like, oh, yeah, I can throw this together just to keep the bills paid. But there, I could really just, like, I know everything's covered. I ain't got so much on my plate now. I can really just Picasso that thing, So for me, I'm trying to train myself to get up earlier. I think I've taken this break where I'm, like, just really taking advantage of the married life, where I'm just, like, really chilling, because then I was always just, like I told you, on the go. Right. But I think I'm just trying to get back to me, trying to, find that balance for myself and really fully embrace that and just appreciate it.
I see, so.
So that's where I say that patience comes in, and I'm finally starting to hug on it in a sense. So
Yeah, Italy is definitely a whole new different. It's a culture shock.
Yes.
Because there are moments. I remember when I was living in Italy, and there are moments where everyone, where the city, just depending on where you're at, they actually take a break.
Yes, 12 p.m. till
Yeah.
2 to 3 till 5, whenever they want to.
And I remember when I was first there, I was like, man, hold on, man. Like, I can't find no place to get no pizza.
Right.
Everything closed. And I was like, oh, they take breaks.
Yeah.
Which it's a part of me feel like they should do that here too. Though,
Yes.
Because, but yeah. With that said, and you speaking on like the pressure, like being in Houston from, I guess, business. Would you say that the business part of being an artist can indeed interfere with the creative process?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And I think that's one of the main things that I feel like we need to discuss as an artist community, because we're born as artists, or, we get engulfed into being creatives first.
Yeah.
So that's what we focus on. We have to educate ourselves to become business owners.
Yeah.
And you have to really find that balance, because, you get so caught up into wanting to create, but it's like, okay, now I got to share this with the world. Now I got to make profit off of it. All right, it's not necessarily about the money, but it's just, if you want to be successful in this career, like, you have to have that great customer service. You have to be consistent.
Right.
If you're not consistent or not active, you're not having no money flow in. So that was my thing. Like, I told myself I wanted to be able to paint, but not have to push anything out. Right. Like, I want to be able to go ghost and paint for a month and still, have that income coming in. But as an upcoming artist, it has been trial and error. That's one of the things that I feel like we struggle with, trying to definitely balance that and, find just that right niche of, okay, I can be this creative, but I can also be this business owner successfully, and because everybody's not equipped for it.
Right, it's facts.
Yeah, everyone's not equipped for it. So you really have to, like, if you really want it, you have to get in them books. You have to, go to, I want to be able to attend like seminars and, sit in on panels and just listen to the people that got it, that got the keys. So, everybody's not ready for that, because I know it comes with a lot of responsibility, and you have to be level-minded, like level-headed, like, because it'll get the best of you.
Yeah, that's fact.
I've been there, but I feel like it's all worth it. So
yeah, there's a book that I read a long time ago. I don't remember the author, and I think the name of the book was something like you don't have to be a starving artist, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are under the impression, because there's a lot of people who really want to make money off their craft, but they're under the impression that you have to be a starving artist. Like, there's no outlet to make money, to monetize what you do.
Yeah.
Did you once think that once upon a time, or did you initially say like, nah, we gonna make some money off this, y'all?
Yeah, trust me, I've definitely, the first 2 years, I even had a piece that was called Starving Artist. I was gonna recreate it again just for, in inspiration of Andy Warhol with the Campbell soup.
Yeah.
But it kind of just brings us back to humble beginnings. I want, artists to see that, because it's honestly, the real life of it is like, starting off as an artist, it's like, okay, I'm just creating this. It's kind of like you in grind mode, and you just like trying to make some money off of it. But then once you really get in tune with it, it's like, okay, no, I'm not going to be eating off a cup of noodle no more. Like, I want the steak and I want the lobster. So I'm about to, learn and get better at this so that I can up my prices. So like, some people treat it as a trend, and I tell myself, like, it's bigger than that. Like, I'm not doing this for just trying to slang it around like dope. Like, I'm really trying to be up there in the museums and in the galleries.
Right.
Like, so you got to really, there's people that's out there fronting on it, and there's people that's really taking it serious.
All day.
Yeah.
Your favorite piece of work, and why is it your favorite piece?
Of my collection?
Yes.
Oh, that's hard. I have like over 80 pieces on my website right now.
God,
so exactly. So that's a hard choice to make.
Yeah.
They're all my babies.
Yeah.
They definitely are. I would have to say, though, personal piece, I would have to say Protector.
Okay. That was in the gallery, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was the one you pointed to me.
Yes.
I remember asking the same question. I said, which one of these? This one right here?
Yes.
And then I was mind blown. I was like, golly, man. Like,
so that was, that wasn't my first oil piece, but that was my first big dimensional piece with oil that I created. And it was like a freestyle that my husband did at the time. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you, but he was saying like, he's the clam, I'm the pearl. And basically that's how that came about. So I look at that piece even now to this day. There's a collector in New York that owns it now.
right.
But I'm blown away. And I'm like, that's not even half of it. Like, if I knew that I could spend like 3 more months on it,
Right.
it could even be times 10. Like, but I can't wait. Like, when I really got that time on my hands, you know, I can't paint as big as I want to in Italy because still trying to work on my work visa. You can't get, so
I know about
it's
that.
like I'm over here working on little compact panels and stuff, but when I get that open door, best believe I love to work big.
Man, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, love to work big.
Well, speaking of which, though, I still recall the moment when I first met you at HMAC. And I walked in the gallery, and you were in there, and you were with I forgot her name. She gave me her card. She does. She's like I think like a mental therapist or something like that. But yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
either.
she gave me a card though. But I remember walking in there and I'm looking at all this work. I'm like, this is some good stuff. And I had no idea that you were the artist in there.
Yes.
And I think someone else had to tell me this, right?
Yeah.
Was that by mistake, or are you normally like the type who you want to create the art, and you want very little attention on yourself, or was that just kind of?
Well, I like to observe people,
Okay.
so for me, I just want to see how they take it in, and it's not just sitting back and watch. Honestly, I wasn't in there just to be like, okay, y'all, how y'all feeling about this?
Yeah.
No, because at the end of the day, it's not about me or, you know, me taking on behalf of my work. I feel like that's just God's light. Like, it's supposed to be spoken to the person and resonated in such a way that however y'all connect to it, that's how y'all connect to it. Yeah. I'm just kind of like the vessel. I'm behind the scenes. Yeah. So I remember one experience that I had. I was at like an art walk downtown, and as much as, even if I'm like, if somebody talks to me, of course I want to be personal with them because I feel like that's the best way somebody can, you know, understand your work by the artist. But there was this artist that was standing there, and he had an assistant, and I'm asking about the work, and she's speaking for him, and he's not saying anything. And I'm like, you're the artist. Why aren't you telling me about the work, you know? So, I mean, but in that moment in time, when you were there and I was there, that was just like, I don't know what I was doing at that moment. But it was good to, you know, see your reason before I'm like, hey, I'm the artist. Right. It was just kind of like a gentle, like, yeah. That's me. I did that. Yeah.
Because I know, when I had my first photography exhibition, and me looking at people, like, looking at my art.
Which is amazing, by the way.
It is amazing. Oh, you talk about, like,
yes.
Oh, man. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. You know, looking at people, it was very hard for me to interrupt those moments, right? And at the same time, you know, I'm more of like an introvert at heart. So it's like, I don't want to, like, you know, interrupt the moment and start stuttering and get tongue tied or not know how to explain it correctly.
Yes.
Totally mess up the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I totally dig that. And when I went in there, I'm glad you did that too, because it's a possibility that maybe I would have like shown more favoritism to the work, but I was able to actually organically love the work, right? And then it was like mind blowing, like when they said, "Yeah, that's the artist right there." I was like, "What? That's the artist?" Well, golly, let me shake your hand again. But so and you're going back and forth from Italy to Houston, right?
Yes.
And man, what was the question I had to ask you? I had lost train of thought talking about that. You goodness gracious. Oh, have you been any other places in Europe while you were in? Okay,
so we've traveled to Capri Island, which inspired like a lemon piece that I did and didn't finish. Right. Rome, we only got to stay there for 5 hours. I lost my backpack on the train.
Oh no.
So like it was just like one of those spontaneous moments, but I still had the chance to embrace the Vatican, and like even going through one of the rooms where they have the creation atom, like the famous fingers almost touching.
Yeah.
And they're like, no pictures, please. I'm like, trying to sneak a picture.
Shooting from the hip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was an inspiration. Of course, the Louvre in Paris, that back in like 2018, that was an inspiration. It's just like I'm trying to mark down, all of the museums I can while I'm over there. So my husband has definitely helped me with that. Any place that we go, he makes sure that we have like tickets, like with the guide to walk us through all the pieces. So I appreciate him for that, because I mean, if it was for me, I probably wouldn't think twice about it or try to squeeze it in last minute, but it's a priority for him. Yeah. So it's been a mind-blowing experience being over there so far. Right. And honestly, I did not want to come back. I totally understand. Yeah, I did not even want to come back for this process, but I mean, maybe something's here that we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. When you told me you were in town, I got really excited.
Really?
So at first I was going to schedule like a Skype or over the phone conversation. Yeah. I said, oh, she's here. Oh no, I got to take advantage of this moment right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm glad that I seen your message, because like my inbox is so, I don't even like check my inbox on Instagram, but I was like, there has to be a reason that I'm here in Houston for this. So it's like, take advantage of it as much as I can. And, I had the chance to speak with Queen Life for the youth, and then turn around and then you were like, hey, let's do an interview. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm on it. Obviously I'm here to do a purpose and something, a mission. So
hey, I'm happy you were able to come through, yo.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. So another question that I asked, and since you speak about like, your husband and everything, the level of importance to you, as far as, choosing a partner as an artist, how important is that? Because I know sometimes being with someone can affect the creative process, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
In your case, how important has it been, to have a husband that's supportive, right, of your work and everything?
It's amazing. I mean, even before him, I thought I was always going to be a tatted up nun. So, like, I didn't see myself getting married, but to actually have, like, those prayers answered, and to have someone that's, like, fully beside you, just ready to take on, like, the way he thinks, and he's, like, the right side of the brain. I'm more of the left side. Yeah. So he's, like, all about numbers. He's all about structure, and it's just... That's why I'm glad that he's like he's managing that side. Because for me, I'm like, look, I'm just trying to create. And see, that's where that whole separation of being a creative versus being a business owner comes in. Right. So he helps me with the business side. And I mean, if anything, to have that kind of support, it doesn't hinder my creativity. Okay. If anything, I would say a lot of, inspiration, like from now, comes from just us finally sharing our union together, as well as like traveling together. It's been mind-blowing to see what I can come up with. And I would say a lot of my inspiration comes from experiences, not necessarily people, like I say. Also conversations like this, a walk in the park. It's just simple things. So I collect all that. And for us to travel, I feel like plays a really big part on my vision. Right. So, sometimes he comes up with crazy ideas. He's like big on investing and stuff like that. So, yeah. So
perfect balance then.
Yes. Yeah. So he's into all that. I'm still like trying to get on board, because we'll talk about it. And I'm like, okay, babe, like I'm listening, but it doesn't excite me, but it's slowly but surely getting me there. So it definitely helps me a lot. And I'm glad to have that kind of support, on my side.
Yeah, I see you saying.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I had a conversation with the artist in one of my episodes. And I was saying that, you can have, as an artist, it is possible. I mean, at least for me, I know a lot of people, I have plenty of friends and all of that. But when it boils down to it, I still have moments as an artist where I may feel lonely. Meaning lonely, not in the sense of like I can't find friends or anything, but it's moments where my ideas are my ideas, and no one can really understand it until it's put into like physical form, right? In your case, do you feel like, I mean, even being married or even if you were single, do you feel like you still have those like creative moments where you feel lonely?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And like you say, being an introvert, I'm a social butterfly when it comes down. What's the saying? It's like an introvert, extrovert. I don't know.
Yeah, introvert.
Basically, like that. I love to have my me space. But, if I have to get out and do networking and stuff, it comes organic for me. But at the end of the day, it does get lonely. Yeah. It's because I don't know if it's like that mastermind or because like you have so many tabs open up in your mind and you really can't share that with everybody because, sometimes you feel like you may come off to, overboard or like overflowing your ideas on to people. Yeah. And, even the simple thing of just venting, I feel like that's what makes us who we are. And we take that and transform it into a painting or transform it into photography or dancing or singing, whatever the case may be. It's just, that's that sixth sense that we have. And I can honestly say sometimes it'll get to a point where I get so down. Like, I necessarily don't want to rub the edges and call it depression, but sometimes I deal with that where it's like, I have that such expectation on myself. I'm so hard on myself on wanting to be great and wanting to be like the best that I can be. And it can become like, it weighs down on you. Yeah. And like 4 or 5, and this is 4 or 5 days, like it'll go by and I'm like, I have to pick up a paintbrush. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'll be sitting there like, Bree, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing here? So the longest that I've had an artist block for, I think the longest was like 2 months, and it was the worst 2 months for me. And I felt lonely. I felt like I couldn't talk to my friends. I isolated myself from everyone. And I really just had to meditate and say, get it together. Like, you're going to get through this, whatever it is. I just think it's just having that pressure on just wanting to be great.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what it boils down to.
Yeah.
You would definitely, I know I put that kind of pressure on myself a lot.
Yeah.
And it's, and one of the worst things that people can tell me is like, man, don't take it so serious.
Yeah. But
I'm like, nah, yo,
right?
I got to take this serious.
Right.
Like it's hard to.
It's a part of you.
It's just a part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone will understand, but when that passion and that emotion, all that's like in you, it gets the best of you sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. Totally relate to that. It's a small world, Joe, because recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was looking at one of your paintings. I said, man, this person looks familiar. I said, this can't be her. Either that or she just painted somebody who looks exactly like a person who I met and featured on the Everyday Strangers project, Amanda.
The model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the vitiligo.
How did y'all link up?
I just came across when I was doing my spirit animal series. Yeah. I wanted to expand our melanin, not just past what, the everyday. I wanted to just embrace everybody's, complexion. So honestly, which I rarely do, but like I'll get on Google and like type in certain things. And of course, vitiligo, I typed it in and her beautiful face pops up and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm using your face. And then when I posted the her reference as well as like the jaguar that I put on her head, someone tagged her and I was like, oh, you're the muse. Yes. And so when I briefly shared some words with her and I was like, thank you, and I end up sending her like a complimentary piece just for that. So
she's a dope person. Y'all.
Yes.
Yeah. I met her at South by Southwest on the street. I was meeting random people. She was one of those people. Yeah. And the ambitions and the aspirations that she had when I first met her. Yeah. I mean, she looked totally different back then. She had like this long hair and all that. And she was speaking about how she wanted to be a model and everything. She talked about her insecurities. And then years later, like she's flying out to Mexico, like pursuing her modeling
Right.
career. And I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
Right. And ironically, I didn't know she was from Austin. It's like,
Yeah.
and you're from my hometown?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a plus. So
Yeah, yo.
it was an amazing connection.
She's a dope individual, yo, for real.
That's
for real.
awesome.
So, you said you can't pick a favorite piece, right? Well,
That's
you did pick a favorite,
it's one of my many.
Right.
One of like my top 5.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, what would be? Oh no, okay. Because the basis of this of the podcast, a lot of it's based on strangers, right? Mm-hmm. People who we may only meet once, or
mm-hmm.
people who we met before and they just left a mark in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been any people who you met randomly, stranger, who actually inspired you creatively to create something?
Goodness. That's like I would have to say the conversations stick out to me most, but there was this and I'm just speaking off of like first thought, which is random. That's a good question. There was this lady that was in the park, Herman Park.
Herman Park, yeah.
Right there by the fountains. And so I used to go there to like meditate and just like have a one-on-one with God and just like try to open up my senses to just new things and, you know, just like let my mind clear.
Yeah.
And just this lady sitting on the bench. And when I tell you, I don't know how our conversation started, but I sat on that bench with that lady for 5 hours straight talking to her
Wow.
about everything. And like, just telling her how at that time wanting to aspire to be an artist, I wasn't even like full-time yet.
Wow.
And it was just the sweetest thing. Like, she seemed like she was real genuine. Seemed like she had little screws missing, but she was really, it was worth the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was like a sense of confirmation of I was supposed to be there at that time, you know, whatever I was asking for at that moment. It was just like, it was a piece for me.
Right.
And so she told me to drop her. I think we even watched the fireworks. I think it was like somewhere where they hold the plays at.
Right.
We even went there after we was from the bench, and like I dropped her off, and that was that. I never seen her. That was probably like 4 years ago.
Wow.
Never seen her again. So that really made my day.
Wow.
And I'm sure I probably went home and created after that.
See, I love moments I love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man. It's the best, man.
Yeah.
You are okay. So 5 years in the game. Let's look at the next 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And I know some people don't like to look into the future.
Oh, I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The next 5 years, what are you looking? Like, say if I was like, hey, like 5 years later, we book another interview. What do you think we'll be talking about those 5 years?
Honestly,
about your career.
So I've been striving to open up my BJC studio for the longest.
Oh, in Italy?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was saving towards when I got over there. It was like, you're going to have to do this under the table until you get this visa. So I plan to have an established studio where I can just splatter paint anywhere, dance, whatever, just like express myself fully. Because I've literally have been... It started out from like my father's, when I moved from Austin to Houston, like I remember I was sleeping on the couch for 8 months. I was painting in his corner and I was like, you know, I'm going to take a picture of this. And I know years from now, I can compare this to my studio and know where I'll be at. So like I had that kind of vision. So, you know, I got myself out of his house. At this time I was like 21 and slowly but surely, like, you know, roommating. I was still painting in my room, on the balcony, taking over the living room. They was getting mad at me because I'm like, you know, taking over the whole house. And then I finally get my own place, still painting in the living room. And so like my last place was like the biggest apartment I ever had. And so I turned like the whole dining room into like this miniature studio. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm tired of like just I'm grateful because, I can finally, do for myself and how all of these things would be full time. But I was like, I want a studio. Like, I need that. Yeah. It's like I want to be able to leave the house, have keys, and go to work.
And separate the two.
Exactly. So that, best believe. In the next year or two, I'm trying to lock that in. As well as I want to be able to create an environment for upcoming artists to learn and do instructional teaching for them. Okay. Do one-on-ones if they want to, figure out like the complexion of the skin or blending. Like I want to be able to personally walk them through it. And as of now, I'm gonna launch online classes for now. But once that studio takes place, best believe I will be having some one-on-one classes.
Yes.
And then I could go on, but so let's say 10 years from after that, like I really want, or 20 years, I really want to like create an academy for kids, for gifted kids.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I see, as well as open up like an urban museum for street artists.
I'm loving the sound of all of this.
Yes, because I feel like our people don't get enough shine. So like I want to be able to create a platform where they can unapologetically just put their work on display for people to just like and take it all in without having to explain, themselves, or I don't know. I want it to be raw.
Yeah.
I want it to just be loud. When you walk in, I want it to have that kind of volume where it's like, dang, this is a whole vibe, So I have all that lined up, but like I said, I'm right here taking step 5 out of 1,000. So
we will be there, though.
Yes.
I look forward to asking more questions about
of course
10 years from now.
Of course.
Like, that's going to be crazy. I have 2 more questions, and I think you kind of answered the first one that I'm about to ask you now. You had told me earlier that, your parents, they were very supportive of you as an artist, right? Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
In a sense. Like I said, after the whole tattoo industry, it was kind of like a cautious thing. And at first, it was a little doubtful. Yeah. Because there was like, just be careful, and we don't know if you're going to do it, have a plan B. And I think the more they started to see me grow as an artist as well as a business owner, it was kind of like...
Yeah. Okay. Slowly but surely, right?
Yeah, now it's like, that's my baby! Yeah. Yes, and it's like... but I love them to death, especially my mom. She's so hard on me and just wanting to make sure that, I fall on the right path. But now that they see like what God has done for me and where he's brought me from, it's like, I know she good. I know she taken care of. I know she making it happen. So I appreciate, their support, my girls' support. They've been down since day one, even when I had to charge them to get in, to the paying classes. Like, hey, girl, you are paying for these supplies. I appreciate your donation type of thing. And they've always been there. So just to have that kind of team behind me, aside of me, just it's a grateful thing, an amazing thing. So
nice. So the question I had from what you said, let's say you're on a stage, right? And you're giving a seminar. But this seminar is only for people, one, kids who never got the support from their parents, who these kids wanted to be aspired artists, right? That's one group of kids. The other group are the actual parents who are having difficulties supporting their children on wanting to be artists and everything. They're looking to you for advice or even your thoughts. How would you go about helping this issue that we have in the room,
which is a controversy.
A
real life controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a, not a cliche, but you hear it all the time, like how parents want you to be the doctor or, just go to school, and they don't see art as a true career. Yeah. But I honestly feel like I'm a example of that. Yeah. I just want them to be able to become a little bit more familiar and support their children in their gift. Like, everyone's not talented like that. Everyone's not blessed to have such a gift. Like they may be blessed in other ways. Some can be a surgeon, doctor, and and handle that. I can't handle blood. I can't look at, I'll throw up. So that's not my forte, but I was called to be here to create. So I just feel like once they take the time out to accept that and at least exercise it with their kids, like, invest into buying some art supplies or, just to see where it takes them. I feel like it becomes a little bit more easier to support. But even for those that may not necessarily see it, I tell those kids to still go for it because at the end of the day, it's what you feel and what makes you happy. So if you're sitting there and you want to sketch and, sit at the park, if that gives you peace of mind, then do it. You're not... I would rather have a child do that than to be out on the streets and, or asking money to go buy something else versus, Mom, can I have this $20 to go buy me some pencils or a sketchbook or whatever the case may be. Like, I'd support that 100% versus anything else. So, man, just support it, embrace it. Let your kids know that you're there for it. And I get parents that message me all the time that, tell me that, their kid is really taking this art thing serious. And it's like, what can I do to, help them? I'm like, hey, like, if you see it, take her to art classes or, just sit a little bit longer with her or him and see what they come up with, hang their pieces up in the house, because that, as a child growing up, encourages them to like, hey, I can do this, hey, I might be, the next Picasso, because never in a million years would I thought that I would be where I'm at right now, just from me picking up a crayon. So that's what I'm saying. That's you really don't know that child that you have in your household that's doodling on stuff or, just creating little things. They might be the next person that is going down in their history books.
Real life genius.
So exactly. So you have to embrace that. And no difference with a child that wants to play on the piano or that wants to, listen to music and do beats or that has a camera. Like I just started getting into the whole camera spill.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So
let me if you need some tips.
Oh, for sure. Because the way you capture certain things is amazing. But you literally, as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but it's those first signs you have to pay attention to because that's literally the making of that child. A child can have a gift but go off to, be something that they're really not wanting to be. Facts. And then they get 30 or 40 in age and be like, I should have just did what I really love to do. Yeah, so
crazy.
Yeah, I could go on. But
I'm telling you, and that was a great answer. That was a good answer for me too, though. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 26.
26. Okay. So you remember VCRs and everything?
Of course.
Okay.
The little orange cassette tapes from Rugrats. Yes.
So I had this. I remember as a child, I had to be maybe 15 or 13. I don't know. I was young, and I had my own room at the time. And there was these tapes called And One mixtapes. They were like highlight. You remember those? Or they were like it's like the Harlem Globetrotters of my time, right?
Okay.
It was like highlight reels of like people crossing people up, throwing the ball between their legs, dunking on them and all that, And I was inspired by that, right? So what I did, because I played basketball too, I would take a camcorder, not a camera phone, but a camcorder.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I would sit it. It was hidden. I would sit it in front of my room window. I would go downstairs, and in front of my house was a basketball court, right, or a basketball goal. And I get all my friends together. Yo, let's play a 3-on-3. Play the 3-on-3, and while we're playing, the camera is recording us, right?
Yeah. And you showing out.
Showing out.
Yeah.
And they don't know they're on camera, right? Because I wanted to surprise everybody. I go upstairs. I get the footage. I take the tape out the camcorder, put it inside one VCR. I connect that VCR to another VCR, which is the VCR that's recording all the highlights that I want to include on the blank tape. You see what I'm saying? I would use a DVD player to record the theme music.
What?
You know what I'm saying? So
you was really you was working up something.
I was a nerd with it.
Yeah.
Finished the tape, brought it downstairs, showed it to the fam. oh, this is real good.
Yeah, disappointment. Yeah, well, you was really doing something.
It was my thing, but visual art was always in me.
Yes,
I was inspired. Anything that I see, it was like I see everything as a movie, right?
Yeah.
I suppressed that for a long time. And my uncle came along and started telling me about his adventure as a photographer, his journey as a photographer. It's the first time in my life that I actually fixed my posture and stood closer and paid attention to what he was saying. And he noticed that. Mm-hmm. He noticed how interested I was in visual arts, period, right? Mm-hmm. Gave me one of his cameras. Never gave anyone a camera in his life.
Yeah.
But he said, I see something that you're really interested in here. Take this camera and, see what you can do with it.
That's amazing.
Photography has been my life since.
That's amazing.
And that's why I asked, because it does take like that one person to notice how interested somebody is in. Mm-hmm. And help them kind of, water that seed so they can grow it and everything.
And I feel like we always seek validation from our parents because, that's our parents. We want them to be the first ones. But honestly, sometimes it doesn't take your mom or your dad or even, your loved ones. It literally takes someone random or, unlike your uncle that seen that spark, that seen that light. For me, it wasn't anyone. I just was like, I'm going to trust myself, and I had to just take it and run with it. But you definitely have to continue watering that seed. You have to continue to grow because, like I said, some people will start it and then they will literally like just allow it to wither away and go and do something that they're not even happy with.
Right.
But as long as you come back, who's to say that person not, can do something for 20 years and then come back to it and then, it could be a whole life-changing type of thing. So
super facts.
Yeah.
Super facts. But yeah, I appreciate that advice. So question that I asked, this is the last question I ask my guests at the end of the show.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, because we don't want this to be real life right now, just something to think about. Mm-hmm. If you had word that you only had 365 days left on this planet, what would you do with the remaining of the time? How would your life look?
I probably would just go around painting everyone and then handing them the piece.
That's so cold.
Yeah, just to leave a imprint of, or a reflection of like, hey, you're beautiful. This is you, and you have a piece of me.
Wow.
While I'm gone.
That is okay. I'm not going to show any favoritism. I'm supposed to keep this neutral. That was a great answer, though. Goodness gracious. Okay. Yeah. Just imagining that, right? Like,
yeah, I could see that.
That tells me a lot about your journey too, though. I mean, you really are doing what you love in the moment, and knowing that you have very limited time here for you to come up with something like that. That just tells me that you're more successful than maybe you think. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, do you notice that? Because,
no, honestly, okay, let's say, because I've always depended solely on social media to get my work out there. Because, it's a great tool. Yeah. It's an amazing tool. But when I got hacked the first time and lost all my little 100K followers, that tore me apart. Because before then, I was like, oh, they're just followers. And,
you lost 100K followers?
Yes.
But
it started from scratch.
And you got back up to
90 right now. And my husband was like, let's try to hit, 100K. We're trying to do like a special giveaway this month. I'm dropping all exclusives right now.
I'll get it. Yeah.
But I was like, babe, there's no way. Because the Instagram algorithm that's going on right now, they're not trying to let us be great. But
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, when I lost that, I was like, that's like all my money down the drain. So that made me appreciate my supporters that much more. Right. I didn't look at them as just followers. When I say, like, if I'm on there now, I call them supporters because that's what they are.
Yeah.
But it has also pushed me to get out of my shell more. Because being an introvert, I've always depended on that because it's like a virtual connection.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, because before this, there was successful businesses making it happen without,
Facts.
this whole internet thing. So
Facts.
It put me out my comfort zone, but I didn't realize it until like I'm out and people are like, oh my gosh, you're the painter.
Right.
And like, even overseas, it was like, oh my gosh, I have one of your pieces in my house. And it's like, bro, like I'm overseas and you have your piece in my house. In your house, and before I even went over there, I would like go to different states and it's like, hey, you're the girl that paints. And it's like, wow, like, that's an amazing feeling, you know? Like, it's just little old me. I'm no one, you know? So, and people, like, they sometimes start tearing up. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, but it's amazing to see that because it's like, wow, my work really has such an impact on people. And I know it's bigger than me. I know that that's the spirit working because there's no way. And sometimes I'll look back and sit back and paint. Yeah. And when I like review my work, I'm like, there's no way that I just did that. Yeah. So
that's the success part I'm talking about. It takes a lot of moments like what you described to get to that point. Yeah. I mean, you lost 100K followers. Yeah. In this day and age, that's like super depression, you know what I mean? Like,
it threw me for a loop because like that was income. Yeah. That was guaranteed income. That was before Instagram switched up on us and was like, you only 10% of your audience is only seeing your work. So like that was, but like I said, it brought me back down to square one and it made me humble myself that much more. And it told me like, hey, this is not all that it is. Like you need to get out there and you need to start talking to people. Facts. So it's definitely helped me. But trust me, once I get blessed with my next little 8,000 supporters, I'm about to be like, you get a 50% off. You get. Thank y'all.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. Y'all. Wow. Yeah. Man, this is amazing. Well, look, Brionya.
Yes, Brionya.
I actually like the pronunciation because at first I was saying Brionya.
I get that a lot.
There's an accent on the A? Or is it a E at the end?
No, it's an A. My mom, I don't know, because my mom's side of the family's German, so Brionya in German means strong. Okay. So I think she just added the A on there, but it's supposed to be pronounced Brionya.
Brionya, okay.
Yeah.
I like that, y'all.
Thank you.
So look, I like to do this at the end of the show too. If you want to let the people know where they can reach you, speaking of the followers, let them know where they can find you on the gram. If you got anything big that you want them to be aware of, anything that you haven't mentioned that you want to mention, I'm going to give you the mic, allow you to promote yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. What is your girl, Brionya James, checking out one time. You can follow me on Instagram at God Taught Artist. That's GODTAUGHT Artist. On Facebook, it's Brionya James. That's BRIONYA. Last name JAMES. As well as my website, BrionyaJames.com. I will be releasing a chapter series of my testimony. It's called Fly, Butterfly, Fly. So be on the lookout for that.
That's what I'm talking about. Y'all make sure y'all hit her up. She's definitely one of my favorites. And I look forward to doing another one of these soon.
Yes, of course.
Yes, indeed. You are always inspiring me.
Thank you. So thank you.
I think we always need someone to tell us that. Yes. Because, again, as artists, we don't really pay attention to ourselves that much. I know how that is. So allow me to, bring that back to your attention. Yo, keep doing your thing. The photo of you and your husband, not the photo, the painting of you and your husband.
Yes.
That joint was fly.
Yes, that was an artist. That is Tito out of London. He's London. He's from London, and he literally travels the world, and he does, just paintings and digital graphic designing, but he blessed us with that, and I was not expecting it, and he made my little baby self cry, so shout out to him.
Amazing birthday gift.
Yeah, definitely.
Goodness. Yeah, I almost cried with you, y'all.
Really?
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Yeah, his work is definitely amazing.
Dope stuff, for sure. Well, shout out to him, and till next time, man. We're going to do this again soon.
Yes, for sure. We're going to speak it.
For sure. All right, y'all. This is the Everyday Stranger Podcast, and we are out.
Peace.
Peace.
This is your girl, Brionya James, and I am here on Everyday Strangers Podcast with your boy, Alonzo, making it happen.
That's what I'm talking. If you would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you would like for me to be featured on your podcast, you can always send me an email at the everydaystrangerpodcast@gmail.com, or you can contact me on Instagram, DM me at Everyday Strangers. Again, that's at Everyday Strangers. And I look forward to hearing from you, okay? All right, y'all. Don't forget, tune in every Wednesday. Also, every Sunday, where I'll be releasing an episode every week, all right? I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your week. This is Alonzo Williams from the Everyday Stranger Podcast, signing out. Peace.